Hey, we are live. Welcome to the Musty Wargamer Show, Season 8, Episode 10. And we have the normal crew is here today.
Abnormal, yeah, normal.
Well,
No
let's not.
special crew.
Where'd you
normal
get that
strange.
brain? Abby in normal.
Yeah,
Abby
Abby normal.
Yeah.
Abby
Abby
normal.
Strikers
You
in
mean
the
to
house.
tell me I put an abnormal brain in a 7-foot?
That's right.
Yeah. Oh
That's
my
a
God, that's
classic
so
movie.
great.
I love it.
Oh, it's that movie and Blazing Saddles never fails to get a laugh out of me. I've
Yeah.
seen them I don't know how many times, and it never fails. I'm
laughing just thinking about those movies.
Did you see that biography that came out on Gene Wilder?
Yeah.
It came out like in the last couple of years. It was really good, I thought. It kind of got me psyched to rewatch some of his movies again.
He's from Iowa, isn't he?
That I don't know.
I think he went to
Really?
He went to Iowa, I think.
Huh.
Not sure.
Well done. I don't know.
Made all
They didn't
those
say he started
Iowans
his
proud.
career there. They didn't say that was where he started his career. but he might have grew up there.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody does start someplace
Yeah, that's true.
or escape from
Yeah.
Alcatraz.
He could have been at the Iowa theater, like I'm sure that there is one.
Yeah.
Do you ever do any theater, Rusty and Dwayne?
I was lots of stuff behind the scenes stuff. I was usually the light guy, setting up the stage and doing the lights.
There you
and
go.
everything.
So they do have one. You ever see Gene Wilder?
Not when he was live.
Looks like Mel says the internet says Wisconsin, so
Viscon.
he was a cheesehead, right? Cheesehead?
Okay.
Cheesehead, yeah.
Yeah. So
He says, I am here. Where are you at? Well, we're here. I don't know where you're at, but we're here.
he was probably there before we went live.
He was here before we were.
Says college at the U of I. Yes, that's what I thought.
That's what
So
I
we
wondered.
did go to the U of I. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
That sounded familiar, but I couldn't confirm that. Yeah.
Yeah. Howdy, crew. Clyde Dashing's in the house.
Hey, Clyde.
Hey.
Oh, yeah. So, how's everybody
All the
doing? What
usual
you been
stuff.
up to? Or not been up to? Or something of that nature.
Well, like I said, my AWI project went awry. Couldn't finish it. They
Was
went
that
to a
because-
bag, and maybe someday in the future I might do them, but I'm not. I think I might have to go to like a simple single pose metal model, cut my teeth on that before I
what
go
we
to some
could
sort
do
of complex.
is you could ask. Wow, my paintbrush went flying. You could always ask somebody that has the instructions for those models.
Yeah, I have that. I felt
demonstration.
bad. I didn't know you didn't have them.
Well, I'm a little stubborn that way. I thought, hell, it's 2 screws.
How hard can it
difficult
be?
Could it be?
It's hard.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Slot
Yes,
A
it
goes
was.
to slot 7 instead of slot.
And a
1.
couple of them are
B.
actually even marked wrong.
Yes, exactly.
1 or 2 arms on each, on 2 of the sprues. I don't remember which ones anymore, but
I don't want to have to go back through and try to figure that out again, because once you figured out the system, they went together quickly.
yeah,
And after about the 200th one you put together, you weren't on autopilot. You never even thought about it.
yeah, it got way easy once I got a system, but it took a hot minute, and that was with the instructions.
Yeah. So we understand your frustration.
Yeah, I understand
You know,
it. Yes.
I appreciate that because it was every bit of that. It was every bit of that.
We understand what turns Mr.
really
Hand into
should.
Mr. Fist and then throwing it across the room.
Yes.
Yeah, could happen.
Now, I did the mature thing though. I put them in a bag, in a box, and I thought maybe someday.
Oh, you didn't
It's
take
one
a
of them
hammer to the
someday
bag?
projects.
Then I drove over with my car 4 or 5 times.
I put him in a bag.
How come you're putting them out?
And I
the
ran around the
driveway?
house and swung it against the walls.
See what sticks.
Oh Lord.
I have to say, it's been a very long time since I picked up a sprue and went to put it together, and I was that frustrated.
Yeah.
It's been a very long time because I really didn't think that they would have had it that complicated between the arms and the hands and but they did, and lesson learned.
All I gotta say is red tester's glue is your friend for putting those things together.
You definitely want to use poly cement. Yeah, kind of fuses it a little bit better.
I use the blue one.
The blue testers.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Blue's not a fan.
Yeah, I use
Hey,
this
Percy.
one.
Stryker says he's been working on 30K Raven Guard. I wonder why he got into Raven Guard 30K.
Yeah.
Where'd that start from?
I can guess.
It wouldn't have to be that somebody bought him a rule book and made him take it.
What are friends for?
Yeah. And he says, I will have 3 tactical squads, 2 heavy support squads, and completely done tonight after the show. Uh-oh. He's going to catch up.
Wow.
You have to kick it up a notch, Rusty. I've never seen anybody beat it to the punch, but it's happening.
Well, I have a whole bunch of them that are, all I got to do is do the details on them. I have like 3 more squads to do.
Well, but it might be the tortoise and the hare story. Oh, that's all I got left.
Yeah. But yeah, it is what it is.
No, I'm just teasing.
It's like, oh, pressure? Okay, let's do this. Let's go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't put a challenge in front of Rusty.
He is only good under pressure.
Yeah. Got it. Oh, is it a deadline? All right.
Pull an all-nighter and knock him out quick.
Yeah. Now that I know how to paint them. They're all in the box. You can see the boxes. If I get my... Right there. There's the box right there.
Wow, that's a herd.
Yeah, it's a herd. It's a big box of them. There's probably 100 models in there.
Wow.
And then I got probably another 50 of them that are printed out that need to be assembled. That's slowing me down.
Back to the assembly thing again.
Yeah. That's my least favorite thing to do. I don't like assembly. So, Palmer.
Yes.
What have you been up to? What are you working on?
I guess I'll do gaming first. I did have that Drop Fleet game yesterday, my first game of it, which I really liked. I really enjoyed it. I was fortunate to have someone that played the first edition quite a bit. Like they hadn't played the second edition that's out now, but and so they were kind of learning the second. But they knew enough about the game that they could kind of really sort of show me the game and essentially, which was great. And it also turned out that they used to be like kind of like a community person in this city for TT Combat for the game, and so they just had all kinds of stuff and like knew a lot about it, like just and stuff. So it was very cool from that perspective. It's sort of like the perfect person to just be able to have a game with for it. And then I've got a game of Rumble Slam tomorrow, which is my first game of Rumble Slam, actually. And
really? You haven't played that yet? Huh.
I haven't played it yet. I just been so I'm looking forward to trying that as well. That should be fun. It's a bit of a short, faster game, I think. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like well, I don't even know how long Blood Bowl takes actually, but it probably you're looking like at like an hour game and hour and a half, the most. Mm-hmm. And so I think probably closer to an hour. And so not bad. And then I did have a game of DBA again this week, and I used my originally I used the Republic India Army, and I lost again. And I lost so many in a row with that against my opponent's army, which I think were Greeks. And basically, we kind of just decided that like the list that I was using probably isn't ideal, because in the last game I noticed like on every single matchup, you actually have the advantage, like with the dice. Like,
Yeah.
like not just some of them, but like every
All of
single
them?
matchup, you have the advantage. And so I probably need to try something different against this army. So we pulled out the book, and I did a different India army, and I ended up winning. And so, but it was like a good battle. It was actually not a, it was a good battle, but it was still a win. So
How
it was
good
actually, yeah, pretty good.
So did you had miniatures painted to build your list different? Is that?
Oh yeah, because like with my India army, I have so many options.
Okay.
Like I have a lot of painted
Oh,
miniatures.
okay, that's
for it.
cool.
So it was actually really easy just to switch it up. I was really just switching the 12-piece list up for DVA.
Okay.
And so that was good. And then as far as painting goes, you guys might have saw, I'm not really going to show it here because they're back in the cabinet, and I've got a video coming out tomorrow, but I put them all away, but I finished those grenadiers.
Nice.
And so yeah, was that was nice. That was fun to kind of finish those, and think about maybe doing some British the next time I do a French Indian War unit. Maybe British Grenadiers, I think, are next. So they have a different style altogether, paint job, and also they've got like those pointy hats. There before they had the bearskin hats. They're like, yeah, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Miters? Yeah.
Miter
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so, so yeah, probably we'll do those next when I do a French Indian War project next. It won't be right away. And for my game, I had to actually pull out. I just had shy of 1,000 points for the game, so I got this box when I was in Edmonton of light ships for Drop Fleet, and
cool.
I ended up building a Succubus. At least that's one of the versions of a destroyer, and then this one, which was the Lamassu, and which is oftentimes what they call a monitor. It's like a detector type ship, but in this case, you can convert them more into a barge where you can drop in troops. So I turned them into more of a troop carrier. What I was thinking about what I'll do tonight, I'm doing a couple things tonight on the show, but I'm thinking that I'm going to start assembling the rest of these guys. These don't really require assembly. They're like one piece.
Oh, okay.
But I want to assemble this cutter. Sorry, that one there. And then these two probably don't require much. So I might, if I have time doing that, what I'm doing right now is I'm painting, I just started dry brushing to do a pre-coat on this Jabber scythe. So you can see some brown that's on there. I'm just kind of getting a pre-coat dry brush of this brown over the black. I'm going to do some airbrushing as well, and just do some, I might even do a little bit of contrast paint too. And so I'm going to be working on this Jabber scythe this is for the Beastmen and Warhammer Fantasy Old World. And so this guy's a pretty ugly dude. Even by Beastman standards.
So what you're trying to say is your Beastmen need some beastly help.
Where's that model from? Is it?
It's a GW.
It's a GW model.
I don't recognize it. Just so what like era?
I'm gonna just. I don't think it wasn't in 6. It wasn't in 6.
6th, 7th, or something like that. It came out.
I thought it was 7th and 8th because I don't think I had an option for it in 6. Either that or I didn't have the model. I never looked at it, but I didn't think I had the option in 6. So I thought it was 7th or 8th.
Okay.
But in any case,
I think it was only available in Finecast, and that's probably 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would think it'd be after 6 because I thought it pretty well knew all those models.
So I've been printing away, as you guys know, and I printed this werewolf who actually came out really cool.
Oh, cool.
And this was a free model.
Oh, wow.
Dude, that's awesome.
So I'm going to use this as one werewolf option for Silver Bayonet. I have a Hobgoblin. Now, this was one of the hardest things for me to decide to print because I was talking to my friend, like, a lot of Silver Bayonet is like dark fairy tale-ish and horror and stuff, and it's not like Warhammer, and so hobgoblins are not the same. But if you actually look in the lore for hobgoblins, they're kind of like a hairy gnome like looking thing that nobody really models them after that. So I just made a generic. This is another free sculpt, and I just made this generic creature, and I'm just going to call it a hobgoblin for the game.
Oh, that works.
And so I 3D printed this. This was free. This is a pretty simple sculpt. It's like a low poly, not like heavily detailed. But I'll do some like wet blending and just make them pop a little bit in skin tones and things. I think it'll still come out cool. And as you guys know, I might have showed this in the last show, but I primed up this wagon. It looks, you can probably see it a little better now because it's primed.
Yep.
Nice looking model.
Yeah, it is. And this was free. It's great to get the free ones. This is the same wagon, but like they give you a destroyed option and they just get the pieces and I just put it on here. So I'm going to use this like as terrain on the board. It's just like a broken down wagon. And I still have another one of these to build without the hood or the canopy, I should say. And I'll do that. And I've got a bunch of other houses and things. Like this is a mausoleum that I printed that was free as well.
Oh, wow, yeah.
There you go. It
I
looks
have
kind
a
of
whole
cool.
bunch of stuff that I can print off, you know, that would work really good for vampire counts and stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so that's kind of me. I'm already started. I didn't realize I was going to be going second, but I already started or first, I should say. I started on my Heineken. And if I do,
you are in the corner.
That's true. It's the tradition, and that is a good tradition. If I do get past the Heineken, I might have a sip on this Glenlivet Scotch.
All right, I better get rid of my Glenlivet and go to something else now.
can't double up.
Oh, it's gonna look like I'm copying. Anyways, that's kind of it for me. Yeah, I've been doing actually for the 3D printing. I ran into, I guess, I don't know. I ran into a little bit of an issue. I don't know if you ever ran into this, Rusty, but it looks like Chris is in the house. He might. I noticed I did some printing tests on my two printers, and I noticed that my original printer, it looked a little greasy after I'd washed it. Like it just had this like little bits of film on it and greasiness. And I read two things that it could be, and one was like under exposure, but I determined it wasn't that. But you know what it is? It's my alcohol bath was just getting way too dirty.
Yeah.
Like so I'm
it's
right
not
now
cleaning it off. It's just
it's just putting more on.
Oh, huh.
It's putting more resin on, like film of resin with alcohol on it. Like, and so I ended up basically like I got a whole bunch of alcohol, and I'm having to clean my cleaning that out and do all that. So I've taken a little bit of break from the printing and I've been just priming, and I've been having my fan in my room, my hobby room going. So it sucks air out of the hobby room to outside instead of the printing chamber. And it's been great because I've been able to prime in the room and it really hasn't, the smell goes away like within a minute. Like it's just like you get the smell, and I could wear a mask, but I basically just goes right away. It sort of sucks it out so I can prime inside, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been nice. So
that's cool.
That's been felt like a good use of it. So that's me. That's all the gaming and all the hobbying.
All right.
Cool.
Sounds good. How about you, Dan?
Make sure you're sitting down, but I got a game in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You had Smitty with the bolt action?
Yep. We finally did.
Right.
It was a week ago Sunday. So
the Stalingrad table.
Stalingrad table got its first mission on it. So
wow.
Yeah. So that was super fun. And it was our first game with third edition too. So that was kind of a fun learning experience. There's not, it's not terribly different, but there's enough little things that you would, you'd have a tendency to just keep reverting back to what you used to do. But by the end, we'd had enough repetition that we were getting it down pretty smooth. After just one game, I really don't want to make too many comments on what I think of the game yet. We had a good time, and it was still felt like a bolt action for sure. not sure I like the firing sequence, where you,
Okay.
yeah, because that is majorly different. Where you got cover saves, and then
hmm
there's no long range for like rifle fire. You're either in range or out of range, basically.
Okay.
There's only 4 modifiers on your to hit. That's it, and then you do a cover save. Which one of the things we did like about the cover save, where you used to be able to, you could be standing like 12 inches away from a unit, and that unit goes down, and so then that's a -2 for going down. So like, and if they were veteran or something, you like, because there could be an objective in the middle of the open, no cover at all, and unless you were point blank on them, which was hard to get in that close, a veteran unit could just go down and just
Park itself.
yeah, they could park for a couple, 3 turns, and hold that objective, and it was just hard to knock them off. I mean, there were ways, but it was just kind of ridiculous. This, you can't so much do that. I had an instance where Mark had a squad that had gone down, and I had a couple units that could fire on him, and he went down in the open, and even in an inexperienced unit, they were rolling well too, but we took him out. It was, it was, which I like that. No, that works the way it should, so that was an improvement. Machine guns are definitely more likely to take, throw an extra dice, like in the medium machine gun or the heavy machine gun teams.
So they're better?
Yeah, they're better. Though I still would have liked if they'd done something where you did, maybe 2 pins or something, or 1 plus D2 pins, or
Okay.
something. Because
Something more.
yeah, just because you feel like a machine gun, like an MG42, that's what they did. Yeah, sure, they would take guys out, but the big thing is to pin them down, right? And
Right.
so, but you're still only putting 1 pin on. But with the no long range, you got 36 inches of fire with no long range penalty. And another example of that was where he shot at a squad. I was trying to move them across the street, and I didn't get enough of them in cover across the street, and so they were essentially the open, and he blew them up. That was cool. So I liked that. Seems like you're rolling more dice, now, because you roll to hit, then you roll for kills, and then they get to do a cover save. So you're doing 3 rolls when you used to just do 2. So
Right. That's more like 40K kind of.
Yeah, and then I liked the long range. I liked that being a factor, but that's okay.
What would you say that you like better? Is there anything you like better?
Yeah, no, the couple things I liked better were the about the down rule. The machine guns are better.
Yeah.
And then they nerfed the machine guns on vehicles, because everybody took like a Stewart or something,
Right.
and loaded them up with machine guns, and they were just like this multiple machine gun pillbox thing.
Right.
Now I forget what the rule is. It's half of what the normal number is, rounded up or something. So they have they're only throwing is it 3 dice per machine gun or something?
Which would be like what it was in the old game.
No, in the old game, they were the same as a medium machine. A medium machine gun was a medium machine gun, so they were throwing 5 dice.
It's 5? Okay.
Yeah. So they cut that back. So that's definitely better. Where's some of the other things? I mean, I liked it fine. It was a little weird having. I liked it. It was to my advantage. I had 4 platoons, so I had 4 lieutenants running around, and one of them I didn't have enough points, so he was just a single guy, and then the other ones I put 2 guys with him, so they were like little mini squads running around, and you could keep them spread among your guys, so it was easier to rally if you needed to, or not rally, but to pass morale checks or order checks, I guess they call them. But in the same way, I didn't like it because you didn't have to be as careful with them, because it used to be, in the other game, unless you built a dual platoon list, which most people didn't. That was pretty rare. I mean, I've played against them, but it's not common. You'd only have one lieutenant, right? So you had to figure out where you placed him, because he couldn't be on both sides of a 6-foot board in a game, and you had to decide how much risk you wanted to stick his nose out, or protect him, and then snipers were always trying to take him out, and so now with 4 of them, I could have my lieutenants running around, and his sniper wasn't shooting at him because he had other targets that were more important. It's trade-offs there, whether
vehicles?
it's good or.
I didn't hear you say anything about vehicles. Was there anything with tanks or?
Just the machine gun. Cut back on the machine guns is the main thing. They changed the points on them, so some of those things are in better balance. Like a Stug is more. Makes more sense on a list. It just, you wouldn't see a Stug because it was too close in points to like a Panzer IV, but you have no turret. I mean, and that was just killer not to have the turret, because that was, you'd have to, if it was out of your firing arc, you'd have to rotate, and that was a +1 to hit. So that was a problem. It wasn't enough cheaper to make that work. But one of the other things that was interesting too was, what was it? Oh, I lost it. We were talking about the lieutenants. Oh, the other thing was interesting was I ran Soviets and he did early war Germans. And he had, I believe, 12 order dice. I didn't even realize this until I printed my list out on, on Easy Army is the list builder I use online. And I had 18 order dice. I've never, ever had 18 order dice.
Was that because you had 4 platoons then?
Well, just because I didn't take any armor. He had 2 armored vehicles. He had a Panzer III, and then he had the Stug, is it the G or something that's got the heavy howitzer on it? And which I thought was a Stug, but he said it was a Stug. But anyway, it was a funky looking model, had a big old square sort of, didn't have a turret, but this big old square pillbox thing on the top, and had a heavy howitzer on it. I didn't have anything that could really touch it.
They come 12 to a pack, the order dice?
I don't know, it's been so long since I bought any.
But I'm not even sure, like, not everybody would run have 18.
No,
right?
and I built, all of mine were 12-man. I had 4 12-man squads. I had 2 anti-tank dog teams. I had 2 snipers. I had a heavy mortar, a medium mortar. I had a medium artillery and a light artillery. And my indirect fire was hard on him too. And I really noticed, that's where you could get I think it hurt him having that many less order dice, because I almost always had the initiative, and I could get 2 squads to shoot on one of his, or maybe 3 squads or units, not squads maybe. And so he'd end up with a couple pins. And, I always have, and usually our games, it seemed like even when I played in tournaments, you were very unlikely to have much more, unless you built a full veteran paratrooper list or something, or a SS type list that was expensive. You always were within about 3 to 4 maximum order dice difference, 2, 3, 4. Here, we were 6, and then as soon as he took the first casualty, so then he was down 7 dice, like right off the bat. And
wow,
that's tough to come back from that. But it played out well. It wasn't till the very end that his dice totally abandoned him, and mine just, I didn't roll 6s every time, but they were above average, and so it kind of just snowballed on him. But
night, Clyde.
Yeah, see you, Clyde. But yeah, a lot of fun. Looking forward to obviously playing some more and seeing, just trying out some new things, trying some, if different lists because that's the whole thing. It's going to be a lot of different. Some of the things that used to work might not work. Some things that didn't used to work will work. So we played 1250. I think 1,000 points is just not going to be enough points to put much in your list. The way you have to build the lists now with the platoons.
Yeah. I got a question. You said you brought machine guns, so it's a machine gun platoon that you brought?
No, it's a heavy weapons platoon, I think they call it, which
Yeah.
includes my mortar, medium. That has your machine guns and your mortars. Is there something else in there? But that's what I used in my list from that platoon.
Okay.
And it still does feel weird. Your platoon leaders don't have to stick with they're just scattered around randomly around the board. Your platoons don't have to come in together. You can put your medium mortar from your heavy weapons platoon one end of the field, the machine gun out the other end. So it's more for list building. And then when you start to play, it has no bearing, which is that was always the thing that bothered me.
Yeah, that
it's
would
like
bother
they tried to do it to make it more historical, but then they didn't go all the way to make it that way. It might not played worth a crap that way, but
Yeah,
it's like they went halfway.
the platoon should be within a certain range of each other.
But I know then you get into complexities with that, so I understand why they didn't do that. But but I again haven't played enough to know, and I'm not saying I like it any less than the other version. It just there'll be a lot of there's enough changes that it's a lot of new things to just kind of see what the new meta is or what works and doesn't work. But that's kind of a fun thing. I think for people probably that have played it way more than me are going to be like, this is awesome because it's essentially the same game, but now we're like totally figuring it out again. All that stuff that we kind of figured out every army, the sweet spots for everything. Now you're starting over. So that part's probably good for those people, but it's still a good game to jump in on. You know, if you're just starting in miniature gaming, it's not more complicated or anything. So, and they got all the little, all the little FAQ things added in there. Those things have been clarified. All that stuff is better. So, and then I guess the other thing is I'm still painting little tiny Confederates. I'm a little over halfway done with the 8th regiment and final regiment of the starter army. And then
nice.
I'm just starting to clean up a couple cannons. So sometime next week, I presume I'll be getting started on those. So I'm cooking along on that project, and it's really building. It's cool. I'm having fun with that.
And you still haven't received your order?
No, I'm going to reach out to him after the weekend if I haven't, because that's kind of bumming me out.
Yeah, because
it's never been this long.
It's been 2 months.
Yeah, it's 2 months on the 2nd for me or something like that. Yeah. So I was going to ask you if you'd gotten yours yet either. So he said it was really good sale. So I'm assuming I don't mind him being slow. I'm not looking for him today, but just so they do come.
Yeah, it's like I'd like to have something. It's like I ordered it. I'd like to get it. In time.
Well, and the reason I actually placed the orders because after I get the cannons done, I need the bases to start my cavalry. That's literally the reason I ordered them. So I'm glad I didn't wait till the last second.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I'm just going with, I had a rum and Coke with my wife earlier, so now I'm just having a Coke. Plain old school Coke. Not Coke Zero or Coke Extra or Coke Vanilla or I don't even know what all.
Oh, they got so much stuff now.
I
always go decaf Coke.
Yes. Anyway, that's me.
All right. How about you, Tim?
Well, gaming wise, my buddy and I finally got together and finished the Armada game.
Nice. Oh, sweet.
How long ago it's been since you started that one?
Oh, it's been like over a month ago we started it, but I really enjoy that.
Yeah,
it's a good game. I enjoy that where you're planning your moves out in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And how far you have to go. It's a lot of fun. It really is.
Yeah, it is good.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. And since he's got all the stuff, we'll probably playing quite a bit of that this year. Mm-hmm. And then I played a couple of Saxon and Viking like solo game things real quick. Just because I had those models painted and I was itching to get them on the table. Painting wise, like I said, I abandoned my AWI project because it was too frustrating. And so I went back to my old standard ancients and I am working on some I'm working on some Scythian horse archers right now for Victrix. So I am
What does that
back
mean? I'm ignorant on that.
Scythians?
Yeah.
They're like
as
Romanian
Scythian
area, aren't they?
they were a tribal people, um, Caucasians that lived on the steppes, and
Okay.
they fought both the Romans, the Persians, the Parthians. Then they fought for them. They fought with them. They fought everybody.
Okay.
They're
Yeah, and they fought with everybody. So they're kind of one of those units that when you get them done, they
You can
could
stick
wind
'em
up in any
anywhere.
army
Yeah.
in that realm. And they're generic enough. They could be any sort of horse archer, steppe people you wanted them to be. Except for Mongols, they don't look very Mongolian. But then again, the Mongols pushed them out of their homeland, and so maybe some tribes went ahead and just joined up because the Mongols did take people that had skill. So
Yeah.
they will come in handy in many types of games.
That's cool.
And I'm going back to my multi-basing of models on instead of doing my normal. I got into this thing by accident where I was doing those Sabat bases and having like
Yep.
round 25 millimeter round bases and doing Sabat.
Yeah.
And I have like a couple of armies that are done that way. And I think I'm kind of done with that now. I've kind of did that experiment. I liked it, but I think overall I'm kind of done with it. I'm
Just
gonna
because
move
of
on
the
back
look?
to well, what I originally did it before Saga. I started off with a Viking force for Saga,
Mhm.
and so they had like 8-man units, 12-man units, and that sort of thing. And I started just doing that, and then that army began to grow, and then the Saxon army started to grow, and since I had some of them done on those Sabat bases, I just kept it up.
Kept it
And
up.
so both my Saxons and my Vikings are done that way. So I'm kind of done with that. And so a lot of my Romans, I think were done that way.
Mm-hmm.
My Iberians were done that way. And my successor kingdoms, I think, are done that way.
Okay.
So yeah. And then like a few units that I kind of dabbled into the existing armies that I had were done that way as well. Now they're on square movement trays, but they just have, in the round Sabat. So I've kind of done that now, and I'm going back old school and putting multiple figures on a base and that sort of thing. So
Yeah,
that's
cool.
kind of where I'm at this week. Yeah. So yeah, I just posted another video up of a game I did today. That was kind of fun, just rolling the dice and having fun with that. But just painting, just
Nice.
grinding out with some more ancients and stuff. I do have something I'm going to do a video on, and it's going to be one of those projects that's it just kind of got out of hand in collecting, but I haven't put any of it together yet. So I'm going to save that for a video, and it'll be massive amounts of chuckling, laughing, and ridicule when people
Self-ridicule.
see how much I did. Oh my God, it's so bad. It's so bad. I mean, it's so bad, but it'll be fun.
How bad is
And I deserve every bit of it.
We've all been there, probably.
But yeah, I'm in a good spot right now, so everything's going along pretty good.
Good.
Oh, so that's everything? All right. Well, let's see. No games. Sad news in our department of our areas that are one store that I used to go play a lot at.
Mhm.
went out of business.
What store?
Oh,
Game Castle.
Really?
Yeah. They're done.
that's unfortunate.
What was the situation there? Why?
Well, I don't think they were. Well, I used to know. I knew the previous manager,
Mhm.
and back in December or was it November, they got locked out of the building, and because they couldn't make rent,
Oh, that can do it.
and because they changed managers and they weren't selling enough stuff, and the new manager got rid of a lot of the games and stuff, and
Mhm.
changed what they were trying to sell, and it's like I don't think they were making the money they were supposed to, so
Mm.
they kind of like, well, we're going to have a 50% off sale and come get it when it's available, and that's where I picked
Okay,
up.
that's you read the bolt action stuff.
I went in and grabbed a whole bunch of bolt action.
Oh,
Nice.
I wondered where you got that.
That's where I saw. Yeah, I saw the pictures of all that.
Yeah, so I got the North Africa German Army box. I got some German infantry box, North Africans.
Yep.
So I got plenty of squads now for the North Africans, and I did get some Chinese. Dad from my Koreans.
Yeah, I saw that. That made sense for you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got plenty. So if you ever want to play Korea, I got plenty of.
Well, we talked about that because I just put my Americans up.
Yeah, Americans.
I don't have a Pershing or anything, but I can,
I do have a Pershing, so.
Okay, well, there we go.
Would you play late war typically? If it was, I guess it wouldn't matter.
Well,
what model
normally,
to use, but you'd be kind of late war normally, probably for that, right?
yeah, if you want to be historical, but you can match points up.
Yeah, because in Korea it was the Americans, British, and well, there were some French, but they were mostly busy in Indonesia, so they weren't too active. But you had, since it was the very first UN peacekeeping force that got into it, so it was the very first action. So you had people from armies from everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was mostly British and Americans that were engaged. There were Indians, Indian troops. So if you had some like Gurkha style troops, you could use those. Who else was in that? There were Norwegians were
Yeah, I
involved.
can tell you.
Turks sent a lot of force there.
Yep.
So if you had any type of troops, Turkish type of infantry, you could use those.
They had a really good reputation over there. They were
Pretty vicious.
they were quite the hand-to-hand guys. Those Turks were.
Yeah, they didn't have a problem
bayonets and
scrapping.
they charged them Chinese.
So yeah,
They
that's
were nuts.
not to be messed with. And for miniature wise, I think, did I share last time I was here, we were on where I finished a lot of the Terminators that I had? Couldn't remember.
Well, I never can remember if you showed them or if it was on the Facebook.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do remember seeing them.
I've seen them.
Things
No,
blend together.
I don't think you showed them on the show.
I don't think so either. Probably. Well, I don't know.
I didn't think you did.
I've seen them, but
They were the Terminators with the scythes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I had them. I was working on them because I was
that's what it
painting them.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, I was working on them last time we had the show. I hadn't finished them, so
Well, show them if you got them.
they're over on the table. I'd have to go get them.
Oh,
But I knew I had just put the Primarchs on the. I started working on the Primarchs, but I had finished them, so I'll show those guys here in a second.
all right.
All right. So if you're into Dark Angels, here's
Yeah.
Lion L. Johnson.
Okay.
Saw
Yep.
him.
You didn't.
Very
I don't
nice.
think you had it. I don't remember when you had it done, but yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah. So I just had him when I was working on. All I had done was I had him primed, I think. If I remember
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
And he does come off. Now I've just watched the video, but he comes off his base. So here he is.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's cool.
And here's a
Amazing.
standard trooper next to him.
Jeez.
Yeah,
This shows how big this guy is.
it's like a giant.
Yeah, he's
And these
bulky.
guys are like 8 foot tall.
So yeah, so that
So
guy's
it
massive.
just gives you an idea how big he is. Like,
Yeah. Wow.
And here's a
Cool.
troll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just imagine Lord of the Rings movie, and Lionel Johnson walks up and with his chainsaw, and his troll's toast.
You sure that's just not scale creep?
But I really
Actually,
love
if you read the first book in the Horus Heresy series, the first time they describe Horus, they actually talk about it. Like in the very first book, they say how he just is just like another version of like one of the other Space Marines, which was I forget what Babadon. He looked like him in his face, but he was just towered above him. Like they just talked about how he was a giant among everybody. Like, you know, and
Yeah.
they actually describe it.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like, imagine standing next to the tallest NBA player as a 5 foot guy.
Yeah.
It gives you an idea how big they are. And this is his dioramic base, man. You can see all the guys and stuff that are on that thing. It's just
Yeah. That take you. That's a 2 miniatures in itself. Just painting the base.
there's 1, 2,
God.
3, 4, 5 guys that are pretty much in one piece, and then there's a bunch of pieces on there.
That's crazy.
There's a number of guys that got diced up on this.
Is that Forge World?
Yes,
Yeah.
before they merged and became Games Workshop.
Okay.
It's like I think every once in a while these models come available, but then you're got Callus Typhon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That guy
yeah.
I almost had him done. I think I was working on his dioramic base. I think the last
Okay.
time.
It's a nice pose.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's pretty cool, and he's
Yeah.
just the size of a normal Space Marine. And then I got Mortarion. This is the Death Guard Primarch. So he's
Yeah.
the same size as Lion.
Wider and slightly shorter because he's kind of stooped a bit.
Yeah, he's
Just the pose. Yeah.
he's
Wider
bold.
with his sight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs.
Oh god.
Nice to see you again, Clarice.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's creepy.
Oh yeah, and
Cool.
then that's finished those guys, and then now I've started on my Lord of the Rings models, and here's the very first model I got done.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's very
the
cool.
troll.
Cave troll.
Cave
Did that come in the starter
That's a
army that you
great
got,
model.
or the
this was
Oscillith or something?
yeah, they have one in the Oscillith box set.
Mm-hmm.
I bought the Mordor box set. Let's see. So I have Lord of the Rings, the Mordor Battle Host box. I bought that.
Okay.
And then somebody else was selling the Morannon Orcs battle set.
Yeah.
So I got that. And then, when I bought that off eBay because it was a lot.
Yeah.
They're already assembled and everything. It's just, he said, Morannon Orc from the
Oh.
Battle Host box. And I said, okay, yeah, I'll buy that. It was fairly cheap. And then when he sent it to me, he threw in the troll
Oh, good grief.
along with a couple of more miniatures. So,
Nice.
for the price of about half the price of the Battle Host box, I got the troll and some more stuff.
It's too bad you never get a good eBay deal, but that's all right.
It happens every once in a while.
Yeah. you always seem to find those.
And then I just started working on the Witch King.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
That's the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's he at? There he's on horseback, and then I got him on foot.
That's cool. I assume those are quite a bit bigger than the original metal ones that came out.
Yeah, it's well, some of these, I think, you can look at the size. Let's see, scale wise, you can see.
Okay. Yeah.
This is like the old scale. This is new.
Yeah.
Scale.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, it's a little bit bigger.
Yeah. It's not hugely, but it's noticeable if you have them next to each other.
Yeah. Saturday, Jesse's coming over, and we're going to work on putting together the Rohirrim and stuff. So.
Cool. I forget. Did you say you've gotten a game in, right? One?
Yeah.
Just one though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that the store is closed, we got to have to figure out a new place to start playing.
Rusty's house. You got the terrain for it, buddy.
Yeah, I do. So that's my update and my drink, which I've already started drinking because, it's already 10 o'clock. It's got some Glen Meringue 12.
There you go.
Nice.
With a scotch.
Cool.
All right, so I got some comments here before we get started on our topic of the night. Obviously, we know Chris is in the house. British Grenadier, drums intensify. This is about Palmer talking about it as Grenadiers.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, I did put the Kickstarter information up for the Strike Team Commander.
Oh, okay. You put that up on the Facebook page?
It's up here too. I just put it in the info.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah.
That's the Kickstarter. It's like 15 days left.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was too bad when 65 pounds for starter force.
There's two games. So there's two different starter boxes. So
yeah,
you can get into the kind of kill team, like the squad based inside buildings kind of game, and they have miniatures that are more there are less miniatures, but they're a bit more detailed and individualized. Or you can get into the battle zone, which has more miniatures, but it's squad based and it's more an outdoor game, and it actually does use vehicles, and they have vehicles for sale. So depending on which one you go into, it's almost like two different Kickstarters.
Strike Team Commander and Battle Zone Commander, two different ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
So did any of you guys back it?
Well, I've been talking to Rusty about it for a bit, and one of my friends, Dan, that I play, that I'm going to be playing Drop Fleet. We're just getting into it, and we were thinking about getting into Drop Zone eventually, which is like Drop Fleet, but it's all small scale, like it's all like epic kind of scale.
Oh, cool.
We were looking at it because it's been going on for like a year where they've been talking about it. Even though we're just getting into these games now, they're getting into 28 millimeter, for TT combat.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I don't know enough about the rules yet. Like they publish some stuff on the rules, and I know that it's sometimes a great time, like just to get in with a Kickstarter. But I'm kind of really focused on the Drop Fleet right now.
Yep.
And so I think I'm just going to stick with that.
Okay.
Yeah. And Drop Zone Commander, like you said, it's 10 mil. I think it scales up well with BattleTech and the modern BattleTech stuff. Because what's the one faction that has the walkers?
PHR, Post-Human Republic.
Yeah. I've had that force, and they do scale up and look like little battle mechs running around.
I think Scourge have walkers too now. One of the group that I'm painting up now here, but they're like crabs.
Okay.
they're like crab kind of things that skitter around on multiple legs. But yeah, I really like the game I'm playing with this, and so I think I looked at it and I just kind of was like, I think I'm just gonna wait to see how it pans out, and I'll probably maybe buy it at retail if I end up liking.
Sometimes the Kickstarters are such a value that you can even resell it if you didn't do it, but I don't know how that one is.
Yeah,
I got to do some research to see if I will do anything about it, but
some of the miniatures are beautiful. I really love those like worms from the Scourge, those snake worm kind of looking thing. They're called razor worms.
The one that have the
so cool.
ones.
Yeah,
they look
really cool.
Oh, what the heck is D&D? It's like the purple worm.
Yeah, exactly. They look really neat. I like TT Combat, so I don't want to say, I'm not saying anything negative about him. That's why I'm not backing it. I just kind of, I'm happy actually to just kind of play the game that I'm doing now, and I'm also doing Rumble Slam, which is for them too. So I've kind of gotten into a lot recently.
Yeah.
Are
there minis for that Kickstarter? Are they plastic, resin? I don't even know. Metal.
Well, the stuff they had before was all plastic, and the new stuff that you're doing is plastic, isn't it?
Okay, so a lot of Drop Fleet is resin. However, the newer stuff they're putting out is going towards plastic, and yes, like they have plastic kits, and they're nice. The plastic kits, because I'm actually cutting one up right now as we're talking, and the plastic's nice. It's actually really nice. I'll be fair. As much as I really like the plastic, I really like the resin as well. I actually like a good resin model.
Now the infantry and the drop zone commander was resin, like little resin guys.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is now, because there was
stuff I had. But a lot of the stuff was the vehicles and everything were plastic. But I remember the infantry was like resin.
Yeah, a lot of their large models are resin still, and a lot of their they do have some battle cruisers, I think, in Drop Fleet. They've just released this resin kits, or plastic kits, I should say. So they're moving towards it. But a lot of their largest models seem to be resin, like even for the new game. But I think the miniatures are plastic. And it's nice detail. Like, I don't know if you want to take a look at it up close, if you can see it.
Yeah, sure.
Rusty, I don't even know if we can capture it.
Zooming in.
But yeah, I mean, like,
cool.
There's pretty good detail.
Do you have much like?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, that's nice and clear. That's
yeah.
Really
if you see like these pieces,
lots of detail there.
Yeah, like this here. They're nice kits.
Is there just one way to assemble it, or is there options? Or
funny you should say.
Okay.
They're known for their options. They're known, like to have a type of vehicle and then to take another piece and make it a different type of vehicle, and to have two different profiles to use to play in the game. And so, like, this one is the rare case where it's just one piece, because this is just this is a craft that is a kind of like a fighter that goes into atmosphere in the game and is only meant to attack dropships that are going into atmosphere. And so it's sort of like almost like a Cylon ship to me, but it's sort of like one piece. But like this one here, which I'm not complaining, this was only 3 pieces. But I could have made this into another ship, which has a different profile. And if I was to buy another box, I can either double up on this or I can diversify. And so it is nice. And some people are really into magnetizing some of this stuff, just so you can get many options. I personally am not a big fan of it after doing it for years. I don't really like a lot of pieces floating around and stuff, like even, with magnets and things. So I tend to just make them one way.
Yeah.
And I'll buy another one if I want.
I agree. Sometimes it's just easy to buy a box and then make your options, so you don't have to worry about stuff like that.
Yeah. I used to do a ton of magnetizing, but
well, then you add the cost of the magnets in on every model that you magnetize, so your models go up basically
exponentially
in price because you're just adding stuff to it.
That's true.
You can blow into like $20 on magnets when you like, could have put it towards another box.
Really, is that all?
For how many? That's like very many.
Well, when I do an ancient army, then I put on Sabat bases and they're all magnetized. I go through hundreds of magnets.
Yeah.
So and that gets pricey. That's why I'm going back to multi-basing my miniatures, and it's a cost-cutting method.
Go that route.
Yeah. Actually, but I tell you what, there was a great place I used to get them called K&J Magnetics, and the ones I would get, they're like really thin. I don't know if I've got them around here.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Because there are different ones. There's some that are weaker, that are bigger, but these are small but still strong, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they were great, but again, now I can just use one magnet for every maybe 4 models, 5 models, depending on how many I put on a base, as opposed to one magnet for each individual model.
Yeah.
So,
I say I got these magnets here, just one little bag. I think I've spent about $20 for all those. So it adds up pretty quickly.
Yeah, it does. You know what adds up even more though is just buying twice the number of ships.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
But you just make a bigger army.
Did you hear me, Tim?
Do what?
What'd you say? You know what else? Rusty said that this cost me about $20. It adds up, and the magnets. And I said, you know what costs even more is getting twice the number of ships. But I think it's a good point that you make, because I personally don't like to magnetize as much anymore. I will do it. Like if I actually was doing a tank for bolt action, automatically I'm magnetizing. I like to move the turret around. I like to take it off for transport. Yeah. Like, there are times when I will magnetize. But with this stuff, with all these little pieces and everything, like I don't want a ton of magnets. And I actually like them when they're not magnetized for stuff that's really small. And so I will just buy another one in that case.
Yeah, there was one time somebody wanted a 40K army, and for their, what was it? Gray Knights. They wanted all their Gray Knights with all the options. So they magnetized everything. And I had to do all that, magnetize it. And it's like, by the time I got done buying all the magnets, this was about early when those things were just getting popular to use. They're kind of expensive, spendy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was a lot of work to do that.
Yeah. It's pretty fiddly sometimes.
Out of curiosity, which is it actually pertains to what we're talking about, is why I'm asking. I'm not trying to rush us, but what was the first topic we were going to do tonight again?
It's about miniature companies.
The reason I say is, we're talking about this Kickstarter and stuff, and I know we're talking about small, like when we were talking about last week, when we were talking about something we wanted to define. I don't even remember what it was, but we felt like we needed to define something for the discussion. And, it's kind of funny when we talk about small, because, when we talk about workshop as the gorilla in the room or the elephant in the room, it's really difficult to gauge what small means depending on what we're talking, because I think there's like lots of different scales. And, like TT Combat is, as an example, is not a company that I normally would define as small, because they actually are a very multifaceted business with terrain. They started out as with terrain. They do many games. They're now into plastic injected molding, but they're kind of moving towards that, where they were doing a lot of resin. And so, the question, but compared to Games Workshop, they're probably very tiny,
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things.
I guess when I was thinking of it, my kind of what I had in mind was like, not necessarily small, but maybe companies that people don't, isn't like everybody can list kind of like, Victrix, Perry's, GW, like the ones, but some that maybe they only do like a 30 years war range but they're amazing, like you might
not spin
know
casting metals.
Yes, or it's they're hand sculpted by this one particular sculptor, and they've been doing it for years, but they sell them through somebody else's kind of storefront, Footsore, or through Roll Partha, maybe, or not Roll Partha, but Reaper,
okay,
or North Star, things like that. Just things that because every once in a while I'm watching somebody's miniature thing and they're like, oh, these are from, and I'm like, what? Never heard of that. What is that?
Yeah.
You start Googling. Yeah. It's like, those are amazing. What else do they do? Or if I ever did that, that's who I would use. And you just don't, and not that I've been doing it my whole life, but I'm not brand new to the hobby, and there's still lots of companies out there that are, they're appear to be well positioned, and have a good following and just cranking away, but you might not be aware of them.
Yeah. So the topics are small and indie or independent miniature companies, pretty much the ones that you don't know a lot about.
Yep.
Because there's ones that, hey, I may know about them, but
right, that's the thing.
but they only do one small game that nobody may know about. But they put out some fantastic stuff.
Yep.
That type of thing. And the second topic, the importance of having terrain in some sources of terrain today and yesteryear.
Oh, yesteryear.
All right. So, yeah, it was like you already brought up one of the game companies. What you said, North Star?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what does North Star put together? What are their miniature line?
Well, they do a lot, actually. They do Musk and Tomahawk medals. For Musk and Tomahawk 2, they do Silver Bayonet. They do a lot of Osprey books, a lot of Osprey book ones. That have, if they have a metal miniature line, like a small blue Osprey book, there's a good chance it might be through North Star. So, like a Fistful of Kung Fu is one that somebody gave a box to me of some metal miniatures, and it was North Star. They have a lot.
They have some World War II also, do they not? Am I wrong?
They may very well,
but not every nation though. If I remember, I could be wrong, but I think that's.
I've been very selective in what I've looked for with them, but they do seem to have a long list of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so I know them because North Star. They have. I know them from Frostgrave.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's my experience because they have a small line of Frostgrave. Let me bring it up here.
That makes sense because that's the same author as Silver Bayonet.
Yeah. Put this in the comments. NorthStarFigures.com is their name. So they do musket tomahawks. Man, they got a lot of stuff here. Fistful Kung Fu, Enigma, Miniatures, Archon Studios, Army Painter, Artisan Designs, Battalion Empire, Bloody Big Battles, Clash of Spears, Check Your Six. There's a lot of this stuff.
They might have in Her Majesty's name, maybe. I'm not sure.
Let's go down the line here. I'm not seeing it.
Okay.
Gripping Beasts, Gaslands.
So some of their stuff, like Gripping Beasts, they wouldn't have probably be making.
Yeah, they're just carrying their.
They're just
line.
carrying some of the stuff. Some of the stuff they produce, like the medals, but some like that they're probably just selling.
Yeah.
They're not they're not tiny.
No.
They're actually, they do kind of.
Another one there's several that would be similar to them, I would say. Like Brigade Games is kind of like what they are. I mean, they have their own miniature lines, but they also sell other manufacturers. But that's one that I think, did you do it, Russ, or did I just do it? When they had their Kickstarter, they've got all kinds of different ranges, and some of them are a little bit niche. But I did their AWI Kickstarter a year or two ago. They'll crank out a bunch of miniatures, and they'll have a theme. I think it was like militia or something when I did it, and so I got some mounted militia and some foot and command. But you
backed it, and it was over by the time you mentioned it.
They have an extensive range of AWI, and all the ones that I got, and I think from when I can't remember the guy's name. Is it Liam or something like that? Maybe, but that runs the company, and he said just about all of his AWI ones were sculpted by Paul Hicks. All the ones that from the last two Kickstarters were definitely Paul Hicks.
Okay,
and that, because Paul Hicks he just freelances now, so you can find his stuff all different places.
Yeah,
even some of the old medals for bolt action are Paul Hicks. The World War II Polish medals are actually still Paul Hicks. But anyway, I think he's fantastic, and it's cool. It feels cool too to support. Literally, he still hand sculpts old school, and he's freelance independent. He just does these commissions basically for these companies. But
that's the thing about a lot of the smaller miniature lines like that. They have, like the miniatures seem to have some quality to it or lifelike, or I don't know.
That's what I liked about his AWI ones.
Yeah.
The poses are fantastic. They scale well with the parries, and tons and tons of variety. And just every few years, he'll add another little range to the. And when they bring them out, they kickstart to helps cover some of the initial costs, obviously, and then they'll just be added to the range. But boy, if you're looking at AWI, particularly, I guess if you're in the U.S. because it's U.S. based, so you don't have the overseas shipping for us, and I don't know how how that is for somebody across the pond, but fantastic.
It gets pretty spendy to get it shipped across the pond.
Well, if you're talking about AWI in the U.S., another company who I was already kind of talked tonight about a little bit is that I use, but for French Indian War, but they actually have AWI as well as Fife and Drum.
Yes.
And I really, like it's a very different style of miniature, like their own kind of style. But I do get Fife and Drum stuff for like stuff that doesn't matter, like natives.
Oh, that
like
hurts. I'm just teasing. For things that don't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter whether it's French Indian War or AWI because it's the uniform is the same.
That's why I cut you off before you could clarify, because it just sounded
better. Exactly. And then even like civilians, like a lot of civilian clothes, like kind of the same. But I actually do like to support them. And the other thing, unfortunately, their original sculptor has passed away in the last few years. Both Krantera and Minden Miniature and Fife and Drum, but they actually have taken on another number, at least one, if not sculpting in that style as well. I understand that that's the case, but a lot of the old catalog is still all available for purchase, which there's tons of miniatures. So I get those shipped up from the U.S.
Yeah. Are those? Would you say that Krantera and Minden are they a little slighter? I guess I would call them sculpts
compared to others.
Yeah,
height-wise, they're somewhat comparable, but they're absolutely slighter. They're not heroic in any way. Whereas some of the one of the more favorite manufacturers by many people for French Indian War is Galloping Major.
Yeah.
So that's another plug for another smaller company, and they really specialize in that. They have lots of stuff, but they are like the opposite on the spectrum to Minden as far as they're very chunky, very large.
Like Foundry is that way.
Yeah. And they're, and I like that too. And I like the North Star miniatures, which are definitely chunkier than my Minden. But I've stayed with this one because I like, the look of when we say slight, I think that we're so used to heroic scale and seeing them pop on the table that, they look really small in comparison, but they feel
realistically proportioned, really.
It feels that way to me. It feels that way. Yeah. And so, which, it just depends on your taste.
Yeah, some people like the more heroic. It's they find them easier to paint,
and they pop on the table at a distance.
Yeah, but some people don't like that. Where they're, just big-handed and big-weaponed, and just more cartoony almost. Heroic, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Place for both personal. taste.
Yeah, absolutely, there is. I'm kind of painting both. I mean, I kind of like the Warlord, French Indian War stuff. I like the North Star, Napoleonic miniatures that I've gotten that I'm going to be starting to paint. They look great.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
While we were doing this research, I come to find out that Steamforged Games, steamforged.com, is now carrying his War Machine Hordes went out of business.
Oh.
And
when?
Oh, last year.
Oh, okay.
They just shut everything down and they said we're closed, basically. So now Steamforged Games is carrying they now own Guild Ball, War Machine, the game systems. And from my understanding is that now that Hordes and War Machine are coming back.
Okay.
They're now selling the miniatures and everything. And Guild Ball used to be pretty popular before they closed it down. And that was way before Blood Bowl came back.
Oh yeah.
And they got some really nice looking armies or teams.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It was a pretty fun game that I used to play. But
yeah, that's always the concern too, because every so often there's a manufacturer that, just whether they're retiring or they're whatever, but all their molds and everything would still be usable. I know even Front Rank, they sold and was it Gripping Beast or what's that other one that's kind of like that? Picked them up. Took them a little while to get it all on their website, but it's all on there now. Is it Gripping Beast?
I think it was Gripping Beast. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that was cool. I mean, because every once in a while you figure maybe nobody will pick up a range,
No, yeah, it's one of those things where miniature line will disappear unless somebody does bring it back and purchase it.
Yeah. Well, isn't Warlord Games, isn't that where they're getting their 28 millimeter resin ACW? They're actually I don't remember what range it was, but because they've got line infantry and some artillery, I believe, 28 millimeter, and that they just added to their range here or to their line. Yeah. I don't know, last summer, fall, something like that. But it was somebody's molds they bought.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
That'd be a bummer if it was one of your favorite ranges, especially if you didn't get much of a heads up. Like, okay, I'm putting a $200 order in or something to finish out what I need, and just be sad after that. But
well, what happened to me is I had Spartan Games that and they had their first Kickstarter, and I backed it and with a lot of money, and then they turned around and closed before they shipped anything out.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucked.
Kind of. Whew, yeah.
So, yeah, it is possible. And then, who is it that bought that? Finally picked up the lines for pennies on the dollar and brought it back. And now they changed everything. So it's not the same game anymore, but they use the name. But Chris says Emperor's Full Metal Miniatures Brigade are some of the favorite small mini manufacturers, and Pico, Bacchus, and Peter Pig. Peter Pig was on my list here.
Oh yeah, they're an oldie but a goodie, right? I've never had any, but
those are small scales. Like Peter Pig is 15s. You could also throw in there Blue Moon is 15s. That's another.
Yeah, Blue Moons 15 or 18s. Everybody, yeah.
So that's another small line.
Yeah.
If you're into fantasy 15s, which I have a few. Splintered Light Miniatures. That's a popular one. Not really popular because no one knows about them. But
I did. I learned them from you. That's the only way.
I bought them. I've purchased them.
Because I shared it with you about.
Yeah, and then Coruscant too is the other one.
Oh man, they're fantastic, but not so much. They're more historical, are they not?
I think they have both. They have science fiction
but they're 18s.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Coruscant is larger because Mel here he has some Coruscant. I think orcs.
What's that other one that you use for fantasy, Rusty?
Battle Valor.
Yes.
Battle Valor and Black Raven. Black Raven is with Old Glory.
Old Glory, yep. But what was that for other one? I already can't think of the name.
Battle Valor.
Battle Valor. They have some amazing sales once in a while.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, I've had stuff in my cart and took it out and put it in because I'm like, I can't start another project.
The only problem with Battle Valor is that you can order something from them, and it just like our recent order with our, they'll do a sell and get a bunch of orders, and it takes forever to get it.
It takes forever,
So that's one of the issues I have with Battle Valor. And I
Yeah.
got a bunch of lizard draconians.
Oh, yep.
15 mil
Lizard
draconians.
minting. Yep, I remember.
I have a box that's like that big and about that thick. That's just full of draconians that I have to put together and paint.
uh,
And the only problem is they're not one piece.
no, I know.
The body is one piece, and you got to glue on all of the wings.
But they're really cool metal models, though. I mean,
Yeah.
they're cool.
So if I ever get back into doing 15 fantasy again, that's the next army I got to work on.
Yeah.
It's fun playing 15 mil fantasy.
Yeah.
What about you, Tim? You got anything?
Oh yeah. I saw the post, the topics, and I thought, well, let me go do some research. Let me go look at some stuff. So I just typed in small indie / miniatures, and I got this list popped up on my computer,
No
and
way.
it lists a whole bunch of different miniature manufacturers. And I saw, you saw the normal ones, and then I started looking at all the ones that I kind of heard, like if you watched On Tabletop,
Yeah.
their podcasts and stuff, they do a whole series where they mention stuff like this. So, and some of these names I had heard, but some of them I hadn't. So I went through and I got a list of a few of them. And the first one was Creature Caster.
Yes.
And
Oh yeah.
yes. Oh yeah. They have some excellent creatures in there. I highly would, if you need something like that, go take a look. And
They used to have
then
a lot of Kickstarters.
Yeah.
I have
then I went, yes. Then I went to Pulp Figures. That was kind of like one of those where they do like the TV shows and stuff, but you got your characters and you kind of play out the episode and stuff. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. I didn't really want to look at the stuff that I normally do, so I started looking at everything that I normally don't do.
Cool.
And I was fascinated. And one thing, like lots of pirates. Oh, there we go.
That's Creature Caster, but I had not painted it yet.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I got the one with the wings on it.
Yeah.
They had what caught my eye was they had this like female demon of Nurgle, and she's all fat, and she's giving birth. She's giving birth to these demonic things coming out of where they give birth from.
Wow.
And I thought, man, you have got to be. I thought.
That's next level.
As far as the model, you want to have a little shock value. You put that in your Nurgle army. You let that be your greater demon. And but the pulp figures I thought was pretty cool. Then Freebooter, which was a lot of pirates and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I thought some of their miniatures were just fantastic looking. And somehow, no matter where I went, there were dwarves.
Yeah.
Shield Wolf, there were dwarves. I put Cromlech down here, but I don't know if I want to consider Cromlech. I don't know if I consider them small or not. They're awfully
well, they used to be small.
They used to be, for sure.
Yeah, they used to be. But they're
getting closer. They're not big like Mantic, but they're getting bigger because they're getting some pretty nice lines.
Yeah, they're getting bigger all the time, and they got some great stuff.
They're from Poland, right?
Yes, Poland.
Yes,
because I'm building my entire as much as I can. Other than the infantry, my bolt action Polish army, I'm using Cromlech. I thought that's pretty authentic.
Yeah, and I went to a site called Scribor. SCIBOR.
It's gotta
Yes. Yeah, there we go. That's another one. Had never heard of that one. Great stuff. Great stuff. Avatars of War. I have heard of that one. I can't remember where from. But
I have
heard of
some Avatars of War miniatures. Yeah.
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 What kind of stuff do they have?
Oh,
I
Jeff.
thought it was mostly 3D printed stuff, isn't it? Like they 3D print and they sell files.
Well, they do now, but they used to have a large line of dwarves.
I think
and
they
demons.
do both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's just, yeah. And then Anvil Industries.
Yeah.
That one I've
Have you
gotten
heard of
stuff
those?
from. Yep.
Okay.
I got.
How about
I got some accessories or something. I remember if they were like skulls or pumpkin head, jack-o'-lantern heads that I was going to put on some.
And it's some of them I didn't write down, but some of them were. If you were going down like I want to get the cutest looking things on the planet, like
Yes.
almost like girly cute. They had some that had like the little bitty gnomes and all that kind of stuff. Had a tremendous list. Anyway, and how about Dark Art Studios?
Oh,
Have you heard of
yeah.
Yep.
Oh, another one, not to butt in, but Dark Sword miniatures. I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have some
US-based.
gorgeous
Yeah.
fantasy miniatures.
They
Right?
are amazing. I've
Yeah.
only bought one, and I painted up and gave it to my daughter for a Christmas ornament, and it was freaking incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They look like.
And
they're
then the last one I looked at, which you'll probably have heard of, the Eldritch Foundry.
I know.
I think that's what it is.
I got
Where you
nothing on
create your own miniature.
Oh.
Well,
that. Oh.
yeah, I know. I got one ordered. It was too tempting. I swear, this is a site I got to stay away from because it's almost like you know how addictive army list building is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and where you could like if you're getting ready for a game and you can just go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Well, when you're building your own miniature, and you can change the way their face looks, their arms look, the size and the shape of their torso and their legs and the shields and the weapons, and just you can have a closed helmet, a face helmet. Oh, the options are tremendous.
So what did
And
you
I
make?
Can you put your face on it?
going through there and, huh?
Can you put your own? Could you put
Did
your own
what?
face on it? Can you put your own face on it? No, because there are places where you can do that too.
That'd be
Oh
kinda
wow! I really don't want to look at myself. So yeah,
What'd you make? What'd you
I'd
make?
put anybody's face on it other than mine.
You
And,
need to be like some sort of ancient civilization, though. You have to be like, it need to be an ancient's miniature.
Yes,
Right?
Yeah.
Your number one area.
I want to get one. If I'm going to have anywhere of an open face helmet, it's got to be like a Corinthian style, where it's just got that little slit right here. That's all you see,
Yeah.
and then the eyes.
What kind of miniature did you design?
I designed since I'm into Dark Ages right now, I designed a Viking-esque type character.
Cool.
Nice.
And so he may even be like for my Marauders. If he comes in and he looks more Marauder-esque, I might put him in my Marauders, my fantasy army. But I swear I tell you this with caution. With caution. When you go there and you start creating, be careful, because it will get addictive. You don't even have to do them right then and there. You can save your file for later.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so you can sit there for hours creating these characters and with different poses, and literally you could make a unit of Marauders. It'd be a really expensive unit, but each one of them could be completely different and different poses, different. Yeah, I did the one and I thought, oh, I gotta get away from this.
Walk away.
I could do this for hours, just sit there and create. another character, another character, another character. It's like, so
That's
if
cool.
you go there, I warn you. So don't blame me if your pocketbook is a little bit lighter.
Lighter when you're done.
going-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I won't write that one down.
Yeah, because this the sheer, and you can go as fantasy as you want, or you can make them more historical, I guess, if you want. Now, some of the shields weren't for the Vikings didn't look too historical. They looked more like Marauder stuff. But other than that, you can do just about what you want. Yeah, I had a blast doing it. So I warn you.
All right, good to
Be
know.
very, very careful because that's the kind of thing that I could sit around and do over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Just sit there and make up different characters and
The creating part, yeah.
Yes, it could get a little out of hand. Not just a little out of hand, way out of hand.
Yeah.
You can do. They have mounted
Oh no
figures
way.
too.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Trying to
yeah.
say is it
Yeah,
could
they
be
have,
really
like-
dangerous.
Yeah. And they do have like Beastmen stuff. And
So could you make
all that
one
kind of
mounted and on foot and have them be?
Yeah.
You could tell they're the same
oh
guy.
yeah,
Okay.
you could basically do the same guy mounted as you do on foot,
Oh, that's pretty cool.
which I think that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. I
So
assume
it's
3D printed. Then is what they're doing.
How much is something like that run you?
Well, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Okay.
a little,
Go ahead and put
little bit.
the link in
Not a little bit.
the comments, and I'll share it.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, but it's just
Cool.
Eldritch Foundry, I think. Is that what it is?
Eldritch.
It's the place that took your money.
Eldritch Foundry.
Eldritch.
Yeah.
Eldritch Horror, like the game.
Yeah, wait a minute. They
Yeah, I
should
was
have sent me
thinking
an
of
email
like
already.
Tulu.
Oh, yeah. Whoops. Learn how to open your own phone. Yeah, Eldritch Foundry Incorporated.
Hmm.
ELDRITCH.
Are they U.S. based?
I believe so.
Okay.
You want to know how much that one model cost me?
Only if you want to tell us.
With shipping, $37.75.
Wow.
Oh boy.
So, like I say,
You won't build an
I
army,
warn
yeah.
you. Yeah, you ain't gonna do no army this way, but
No.
But what about
you want
without
one
shipping?
to stand out.
Because
Huh?
it's probably not as expensive to get two, right? Like it's like with the shipping, like it's not the same shipping for two.
Oh, I
So if you wanna get, like-
I guess.
Well, I'm
I
on
don't
the
know.
website
I just
now.
ordered the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Let
let us know
how it works.
how it is.
Build.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see when it gets there.
Print it.
Right.
Print at
But,
home. So you can have it made, and then you just print it yourself.
Mhm.
If you're
Rusty's
lucky.
already on the website. That's not good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We might lose Rusty here in a couple of minutes.
Right. There's
Rusty
the
comes
link.
back and says, yeah.
Okay.
I,
Eldritch Foundry. Okay.
yeah, for those guys that have their own 3D printers, that would save you some money.
I've heard
Yeah.
of people that do that.
I'm
own
just
their own
saying,
3D
Rusty.
printer.
I don't know of anybody that has one, but I heard that they're good.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that someday.
Next thing you know, Palmer will be he'll have both of those 3D printers just whirring in the background, going, Palmer,
Yeah.
I got my
What did you
can you
do?
ship me one of
Hmm.
those? Oh,
Well, we got Footsore miniatures.
Yep. A couple I've got. Sally Forth.
Oh, yeah.
I did one of their Kickstarters. And the ones that I did were basically it's the Bretonnian range. He had some spearmen, got like a sorceress, Grail Knights, Knights of the Realm. I did the Knights of the Realm Kickstarter, then I added a unit of 20 of the spearmen just to see. And you know, I was getting them shipped anyway from the UK, but they're really nice quality. The knights are all metal. The horse does come in two halves. The head is separate and the tail is separate. And then the knight, which is it's a good bad thing. I don't know. Maybe Tim, we're back to putting miniatures together though, but they've got the legs are separate from the torso, and then the two legs, and then the head, and they're all metal. But the nice thing is though that you can mix and match, and you can change the pose enough with, you know, between how their lances, or if they're turned to the side more or whatever. So, and he's got a bazillion different helmet choices. Well, not a bazillion, like 20 or something. So
Really customize these things.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, it is nice, and they're a little spendy being all metal like that, but they were not bad. I mean, it was reasonable, you know.
Have you put them together and painted them yet?
Not yet. That might be one of the next things I do after I finish this starter army, because I'm kind of getting the itch to do that. But I fit them together. It looks like they're going to fit well. They scale well with the Bretonnians, both style and size wise. And so that was one I had. And then Oakbound Studio is another one. I don't know if any of you guys watch his YouTube channel. He's in the UK. He actually does. He does his own sculpting. He's got his own game system called The Wood, or The Woods, and it's based on. It's kind of a warband type of a game, and it's set in Celtic folklore, I believe. So a lot of the creatures and races, and it's got, you know, fairies and goblins and kind of elvish thing. I don't know too much about that part, but there are some. If you go to that website, Oakbound Studio, some of them are miniatures he sculpted, and some are miniatures that other small friends of his have sculpted. You know, so it's kind of cool. He casts them himself, or casts them or makes them. Well, he does some part of it himself, and then he's always kind of releasing stuff. And there's some he's got some goblins on wolf riders, you know, and I really like the style of them. They're all metal. All this stuff's metal. And then he's got some stuff like you could use like in a wood elf army, like ents, or, you know, like tree dryads and that kind of stuff. And they're pretty cool, you know, and they're all hand sculpted. Some of his videos, he shows how he does his sculpting with armatures, and he's kind of a cool, eccentric guy. I just like listening to him. He's his own thing for sure, but it's several times I'm like, I'm just going to order some, you know, just from him, just because I love the idea of, you know, it's just, he's doing it out of his house kind of, and he's been doing it for years. It's
right.
But it's just, the whole thing's cool, and there's some really neat miniatures there. It's worth taking a perusal if you get the chance, and they're reasonably priced, you know, for metal minis.
Oakbound Studios, huh?
Oak, like oak tree bound, Oakbound Studio.
Oh, Oakbound.
You kind of reminded me. I don't know that it's the same kind of stuff, but you guys remember Lucid Eye miniatures? The ones that they were actually definitely, I think, qualify as an indie smaller kind of company. And you know, like, I actually did a lot of their Savage Core stuff, and they do a number of different games. And it's sort of a gentleman that actually had worked at one point with Games Workshop, I think, in the past, a sculptor that now and may have, I think, worked with Warlord Games for sure before opening Lucid Eye Miniatures, and then his son works with the company as well, and so they're a good company to get a variety of different kinds of sculpts and things like that. They have games, but you can also get their stuff for your own games too.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good shout.
The Attack Cat is your.
Oh, Trenchworks is another one. Trenchworks.
I've heard of them.
Mooch, you guys talking. He couldn't stay away.
They're in the western part of the United States, and he'll sell STLs, but he also for resin prints, but he'll also sell the physical model. And I've gotten my T-34 in my Russian list is Trenchworks.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful model. I mean, it is amazing, and it's solid resin. And then with metal, like can't remember if the gun barrel was metal, I believe, and maybe the machine gun. Couple small things, detail pieces. And
similar to how they used to do them with for the bolt action
Warlord. Yeah.
Yep.
And then I did order. Because I think he's upped it just a tiny bit, but you could get free shipping basically by just buying one tank or one armored vehicle. And so I got a Hellcat from him too. Those are the only two I have, but they are gorgeous. And then he has one thing that's super cool. I don't know, you wouldn't really use it in the game, but he's got a Normandy landing craft, and then he's got the rows of troops as they be standing looking out before the door drops. And I have actually seen one in real life painted. I wish I'd picked one up one day. There was a Warlord or somebody had just a table of them that they were selling at the tournament down in Omaha, the Bug Eater, I guess it is. And they were cheaper than what he was selling them for. And so they had one sitting there and painted. And I was like, oh my God, it'd just be for a display piece. I mean, you could have it coming in on the beach if you were doing a bolt action, but you wouldn't really play with it. But anyway, beautiful stuff, worth checking out, affordable, and another small producer.
What's the name of that one?
That one is Trenchworks, and it ends in an X. Yeah. And he has sales every once in a while, Rusty, for STLs. Pretty good sales. So if you're looking for a vehicle, and they're good quality stuff, and he's been around. They've been around a while, so they're not new.
Yeah, I've been to their site before. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and then Footsore Miniatures. Maybe it's Footsore Miniatures that has front rank now. Maybe it's not Gripping Beast. It might be Footsore, but
you can get front rank from Gripping Beast.
Can you? Okay,
yeah.
I might. You're probably right. I just for some reason all of a sudden I was like not so confident now, but Footsore Miniatures does have Trish Carden, which used to be Trish Morrison, right?
Yes, yeah.
And so there's some YouTube interviews with her. She does these like half-hour paint and chat things, and she's talked about what she does, but she's basically she'll talk about her career, which is super interesting. But now she just sculpts what she wants, and she's got her own range. Basically, it's Harrow Hurst, and it's kind of her own like world in her head type thing. But so she sculpts a lot of stuff there, and they sell her range through Footsore Miniatures. So she's got, she'll do even like, dragons and, what are they called? The treemen, like,
Ants.
She's done a lot of monsters.
Because she sculpted the ones for GW, so they're in that same. You can see it. You can see the DNA
and
there.
Grenadier stuff too. Like they were Grenadier perhaps, but they were company.
I let you go.
Wasn't that the name of the company that went parallel with GW? Like GW.
Yep, Grenadier.
Yeah. They kind of went parallel. Yeah.
Yep. And so it's kind of cool. You could still get some of the stuff. And actually, you could use some of that stuff in a Warhammer Fantasy or Old World army it's like even like it would match in stylistically, and it's kind of cool. You could have one of her old, tree spirits or tree men or whatever they're called, and
Yeah.
and then have one of her new ones. It'd be that's just kind of cool.
They blend together, yeah.
Yeah, and you can see she just loves doing what she's doing. She's in a good place, evidently with her career and her finances, and she's just having a blast. And she cranks stuff out kind of regular.
great.
So it's worth seeing what's new going on over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had put the link for Footsore earlier. Footsore miniature dot.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's up there.
What do you think? You think that we have time maybe to hit and talk about terrain a bit?
Yeah, we can.
Good.
Sure, we'll get as far as we get with it.
Because we'd be talking that one carried over from last week too, so we might as well put the lid on the conversation and get it done.
Jeez.
So Rusty, you want to open? It was your kind of your inspiration on that one. You want to?
Yeah, it's what is the importance of having terrain? Consider we got the terrain master on here.
Oh, terrain.
I don't know who that is, but back in the day, it's like Mel can attest to this, is that if you wanted terrain, you pretty much had to make it.
Yeah.
Anything, because there was no market really for hardly anything. There was a few companies that were hit and miss that would show up, do a few things. They made them out of resin, hand sculpted, and then they'd be gone. Yeah, they do. It's like a flash in the pan type of companies.
Yeah.
This was my first terrain book.
Let's see here.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
That one, it's still. I built these. I mean, I used this. I didn't know the skills and stuff for that kind of stuff, and I used the heck out of that one. I got it back when it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much when that book came out. It's like if you wanted something, you had to make it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the late 90s, I think, that I bought my first actual terrain piece that was made by someone else. And that was, Mel has some of it too. It's some resin models that you had to put together. And it was like battlefield terrain that was destroyed.
Is that the company?
Yeah. Well, it was, I can't remember. The company went defunct. And like,
yeah. I mean,
but so, yeah, it was one of those things where you constantly had to build stuff. And now looking at your table, Dan, the pictures of it and all the work that you put into making yours, some of it you hand sculpted, put together.
Yep. And my D-Day table, when I first started, actually, when I first got back into miniature gaming in 20 whatever it was, 14 or something, I remember looking at all the terrain. You could get, they had foreground, and Sarissa was getting going then, and there was, and you could make your own, because I'd learned how to do that when I was trying to get into fantasy back in the day, and but I didn't know if I was actually going to be committed enough to fill a 6x4 table. Oh my God, so I don't want to spend a bunch of money, and I did. I went on to, God, I can't even think of what the company is, but you've seen it, Rusty. It's the paper terrain that you buy off of Wargames Vault, download the file.
Yeah, Wargames Vault. It's
yep. And then I fastened it onto foam core to make it more 3D, and it was super cheap and super customizable. And so I started there, and that was I wish I could think of the name of it. Dave Graffam.
Yeah,
that's
Dave
what it
Graff.
is.
I was just looking at it right now.
It's amazing stuff. And then I guess then I decided, oh yeah, I'm doing this and I'm into it and I'm loving it. So then I invested in the Total Battle Miniatures resin terrain, and that was spendy, but I do love it. And then Stalingrad, I went a different direction with stuff, but I did go with resin again. I just do love the resin, the detail, the heft of it, and it's a little more unique. I just remember back when I first got into bolt action, everybody had foreground. Every table you saw had foreground, which is beautiful terrain. Completely gorgeous, and reasonable to put together for anybody. But it was like every table, it's like, oh, yep, that's foreground, you know.
Well, it's sold right alongside the product at Warlord Games, right? At the time you bought it, like you could go on Foreground's website and they would have more buildings there, but all the stuff you needed, most of it, you could get right alongside your miniatures for bolt action on Warlord Games website.
And now they kind of do that. They do that with Sarissa now. It's kind of their go-to.
And they did them together at one point too. Like they didn't really do one or the other because I got Sarissa and Foreground stuff at the same time.
Oh yeah,
like my French Indian War stuff is. I have some Sarissa stuff in there, and then but no Foreground. Even though they did make it for that, but then for my World War II, I went with mostly Foreground, but I do have one Sarissa building that I did, like a French chateau. As well, but you could buy all that.
That right they next went to away. It. That was a bummer.
I think what really hurt the laser cut stuff that they were doing is that 3D printing became so easy to do.
But look at what Sarissa's still cranking stuff out, and maybe they're struggling. I don't know, but they it seems extremely popular. People still buying it. It's very affordable. Yeah. I guess and it ships easy because it's flat packed, but there's probably a place for it.
Foreground were kind of a weird company in that they actually didn't just make stuff for wargaming. Like I believe that they had they actually called their stuff like they actually had stuff that I almost think that they did stuff for like museums or something. Like they did buildings like they were pretty involved. And it was weird. I don't know. I always felt that their price point was really high, but at the same time, pre-painted is pretty amazing with some of the stuff they did with the pre-paint.
Yeah, that was my thinking. And you didn't, because MDF can be, you got to learn what you're doing to paint MDF. It's a little bit of a trick.
Thinking that Sarissa, the reason it's still around is that it has a large selection of different genres.
Yeah.
Terrain.
They got a massive amount. Their catalog is huge too, just within a genre,
in the different scales. I wonder if they picked up some of the Foreground stuff to add to their selection.
I don't know.
That's because there's another store that carries Foreground. Somebody bought where they turned into something else, and you can actually order Foreground stuff for a while there. You could order it, but it's not. I'm not sure if it's still called Foreground, but this other company, they moved all their machines over there to this other.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay. Yeah. And even when they had that last final push where they had this big sale when they closed out, it was actually being finished by this other company.
Oh, okay.
So if you find it, share it.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it.
Because that was the very first train I played on was Foreground. But I think the other thing that appeals with Sarissa, I mean, it's a good bad thing, but with the Foreground coming pre-painted, literally everybody's building, unless you put it together sloppily or something, they look identical. But the Sarissa, you could paint your house, white with black trim or beige with green trim, and so you can make them. They don't, and even if you bought several of them, put them on the table and paint them different, they can be unique. So that might help them, although you still do have to paint them. But
it was called Time Again Ltd.
They still have them. Are you on their site?
I'm
looking now.
Let's see if I can find.
I'd almost get something just for. I mean, I hate to even say it because it wasn't that long ago, but almost for nostalgia, because that's my first bolt action years was all Foreground stuff. Now I just next to don't see it anywhere. Everybody's moved on to 3D printing or some other other ones.
Yeah, it's like when it comes to, we're spoiled now when it comes to
choice. Oh man.
When I look at like now I'm doing all these buildings. I haven't done anything since I shut my printer down because I was doing a print. The last show I said I was doing a print of the carts, wagons and stuff. It came off the supports, and then when it came down, it goes.
That's not good.
my FEP, the little plastic sheet that that holds the resin between the light.
Yeah.
It punched a couple holes in it, and it got onto my pinholes.
man.
So it was the screensaver had resin on, so I just peeled that off, put a new one on. But I still
okay.
haven't replaced the plastic sheet on my vat. I just drained it, put it back, drained it into the container again, and now I have to take it
So
all
not-
apart. And
not
that's
the end
about
of
an
the
hour and a half of work to replace that.
I'm not sure that Time Again LTD is still open,
Mm.
but it seemed like they were closely related to Foreground through the transition. It's
And
almost
that
like
was
they
what, a
turned
year and a
into
half
them.
ago?
Well, I'm looking at stuff from 2023. Yeah, there is stuff in here from 2023.
Might want to do a Google search. Who took over Foreground? Maybe that might lead in the right direction.
Time Again LTD insolvency. Company's House, Government of UK.
Uh-oh.
March
Oh,
petition date March 10th, 2023. Commencement of winding up June 6th, 2023.
Mm.
So official receiver of Birmingham. So it sounds to me like they are done.
Put a knife, fork in it. Dinner's over. Oh, well. It happens, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We just had the, what was the company that went out of business this last year? That was from Colorado.
Yeah.
Because I got the,
Yeah, we both ordered. I think I actually got the very last order in that he took. He had till midnight the
Yeah.
one night, and I think I ordered right around 11 p.m.
I got the one building that you have, I finished. And then I also have the 28 mil bridge, stone bridge. And I got that because I wanted to have a large bridge, maybe for 28 mil for doing AWI.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool to have a battle fighting
It's
over
in
a bridge.
Fort Collins, Colorado.
Yep. How come I can't remember?
God, I almost have it. Rats.
I got a package over there with probably still got the
Anyway, I
label.
guess it doesn't matter, but he was looking for a buyer. I
Yeah.
hadn't heard anything. So,
What was the name again? What was the name again?
of what we're trying to think of,
Yeah.
we can't.
Oh, I thought
think
you
of
said,
it.
it's Fort Collins is the name of the
Fort
city.
Collins is
Where it's
in
from.
Colorado.
Okay,
Is where he's
gotcha.
from. I was
I was looking frantically because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't Litco that you were thinking of.
no.
Because they're
This
still
is-
open, and I
This
get
is
their
resin. This is all
Okay.
resin.
I get their magnetic.
This was
flexible steel
hand
bases.
sculpted resin that he poured.
Yeah,
Oh.
nice,
Yeah.
big, large library of
Yeah.
catalog of models for different
what?
scales.
Damn. Shoot, I got a package on the other side. Actually, I'm gonna look because that's gonna drive me nuts.
Yeah, do it. Go, 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 go. I'm gonna go get mine.
So how you doing, Palmer?
Doing pretty good. It's funny. I was skipping through websites for there for a second before we were talking about.
Novus
Okay,
Design
what I was-
Studio.
I forgot on one of those.
This is the one
we
I
got
got
there.
left to do.
Give me a second. I'll zoom you in here.
Nice.
That's the factory.
Yeah, I got two of these. I had one that I hadn't painted, and then I got the other one right on his last sale run. I thought I'd use them on my Stalingrad table, which I probably will to give it some variety, but my table's full right now, so down the road I might.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah,
I
it's
got
all
the-
nice resin. You could use that with science fiction too.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a nice big piece. And it was only like $30 or something like that. And then he
that's
gave
good.
you points when you spent, so you got free stuff. Oh, that's not. I should have gotten that.
Yeah, I wanted to. I always thought about getting the after I ordered that last order like you did.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I should have got the 15 mil bridge too. But now I can just print one. But
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
I
So
ordered
he
from.
closed up.
Yeah, he closed up. I've got I've got that building that Rusty's got too, and then I've got on my Stalingrad table. I did put one. I've got that on my table. I did paint the other one, and then I've got a whole bunch of walls around my Normandy church is from that from him, and some other walls. And yeah, I ordered from him multiple times. I was always happy with the service, the price. And then, yeah, you got money back for every dollar you spent, and then he'd let you redeem them, and I'd get, yeah, it added up super fast. It was really, yeah, it was great stuff.
And after seeing what you had painted up on your table, I was like, oh, I got to get some of this stuff. And then it wasn't long after that he decided to go out of business.
Yeah, I remember we reached out to each other. One or the other of us said, "Hey, you seeing this?" And we
grab whatever you can before he's gone.
And so those molds are floating around somewhere, Rusty. Maybe that's how that you can add that to your whatever, your retirement fund to crank those out.
Well, actually, the person to do that would be Mel.
Oh, why's that?
He has plenty of experience doing resin casting like that.
Okay. Well,
because Mel had his own business doing resin casting.
Well, I thought he had some sort of, was it for miniatures or for something else?
He did miniatures.
Okay, I didn't know it was resin. I thought he did metal or something. I didn't know.
Well, he had 15 mil
that's
metal troops, and then it was resin vehicles and stuff like that. Terrain.
Okay. Cool.
So we both have a lot of it laying around here somewhere. I think I got over here I got a box of it still.
Okay.
Which I have yet to.
So the topic was importance of terrain and kind of like past and the present.
Yeah, what is it? Is having a nice table, is it important to have a nice table? What do you think, Tim?
Oh, without a doubt.
Just put books out there.
Yeah, I don't know. Even if you're having like your table is set in the desert, you think, well, it's just sand and this or that.
Yeah.
Flat
sand. No, you could do a lot with desert terrain, and it's like anything, like even if you just want just a clump of trees or anything, those are, I think it's important. It's all part of the process, and it does lend to the game. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to have a tremendous effect on the game, but for the visual, for the artistic part, I can't even imagine playing a game without terrain on the table. I can't. Even if you're doing just undulations of the table itself, that counts as terrain to me, because there's a lot of places in the world where it's devoid of trees and you think about the steppes of Russia, endless seas of grass.
But you still got some hills here and there. So
yeah,
so it's not completely flat, and I think it matters. I think it matters a lot.
Way back in the day when we first started playing 40K at the local game shop, they didn't have any terrain at all. And you would just have a 4x8 table. You'd set your army up on one side, they have their army on the other side, and you go at it, and there was nothing in between you.
That's when they had telephones. You could put the telephone and make it like a building for science fiction. That's about all you got.
Yeah. There wasn't much. And then people started bringing in stuff and just like garbage terrain. It's like, there's a guy, who is it? Is it Mini Wormut that does garbage terrain videos every once in a while?
I can't remember if it's him. Yeah, somebody does. Yeah.
And it's like taking regular stuff that you're about ready to throw out and then turn it into terrain. That's what guys started doing, just bringing stuff and leaving it at the store so you have something to play with. in between you.
Yeah.
You know, some of my favorite games are games that really heavily utilize terrain, and like my Musket and Tomahawk's collection of terrain and making my board with my tree canopy and like just the rivers and the woods and like all the buildings and roads and just scatter terrain and everything, like just kind of gives you the immersion that we talk about, you know, which I think immersion, like, of course there's tactical aspects to have terrain, but, you know, I think for a lot of us too, it's really the immersion into the world, you know, in the same way you like your miniatures and you like, you know, you like your immersion into the place. But I'm going to buck the discussion here and just say one thing. So despite saying that, like in the fact that I actually totally am on board with everything, what everybody says, I kind of had the opposite opinion at times in that when I was playing DBA, which is of course really small scale, so 15 mil, one, like my friend puts together an amazing board. Like his board, he you know, he makes an old school green textured board. Just, you know, he makes different ones, so he has more than one of these like DBA boards, and they're beautiful, like old school boards. But really, like, you know, you put a few pieces of terrain and you know, like you don't have to go crazy like with DBA, like, you know, with the terrain. And I said to him once, you know, the game is so involved when you start to clash and with the movement and like what you need to do, and it really gets your mind thinking so much. And I had said to him, you know, like the terrain adds to this game because yes, like it affects your troops, makes them slower. Like certain troops, you know, you can die more easily, like cavalry, like if you're in terrain, like there's definitely an effect on the game. I will not deny that. But I had said to him, you could play this game without terrain and still have a load of fun and still think it's really strategic. This particular game. And, you know, he didn't disagree, you know, like when I had said it with this particular game. However, when playing space games or naval games, and there are also times when terrain can add a lot. Like I played this game, Drop Fleet, and actually the terrain are really just slivers of cardboard that show debris in space, or like, you know, you might have like planetary ring or something like that. And yeah, like it actually affects the game because if you fly through it, you can take damage depending on the kind of ship you are. It can be worse. It affects your scanning through the debris. You can't scan and see ships to shoot at them as easily. So there's actually cool things about terrain and Drop Fleet. But I played a lot of naval and space games that didn't have much terrain, but they were still quite a bit of fun. And so it's interesting. I guess like that's for me, and I can only speak for me, not in absolutes, but I find it's like the type of game for me really dictates the importance of terrain and the level of importance. I love making terrain, and there are some games where the setup of the board is as important as playing the game. Like setting up the board that day and what it looks like and like how it all comes together is like as important as the game itself, you know, with all the terrain. And so it just, you know, I'm not really like one way on it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of, it's like when I used to be playing the one, gosh, was it 1/2400 scale naval game, you know, for World War II. You know, we didn't put anything on it was just a 4x8 table with nothing but a blue.
Yeah.
We took a blue sheet that just laid it across, and
no blue whales or sperm whales or anything like that.
No, nothing. You know, it's like nothing up there, just nothing on the table. And there's been quite a few times we played space games where there's nothing on the table.
Yeah.
Because space really is pretty open. You're not going to usually see too much debris out there unless it's a space hulk or something of that nature.
Yeah.
But we're talking about World 40,000, the year 40,000.
And let's see, when we were playing
a lot
of dystopian wars, occasionally you would find an island or something out there you fight around. But typically, depending on the type of game, you're not going to find much terrain.
But the question is how well does it play and how good of a game is it without that much terrain? If it's a really good game, it may mean that there's enough going on, you know, to replace some of what you've lost by not having obstacles and terrain and things like that.
And some of it can depend on the rule system. Like, do you interact with the terrain? you know, or you just need a couple pieces so that, you know, you have to maneuver around, whether it's an island in a sea or a, you know, or an asteroid belt thing for your space game, just for that. But, you know, or using it for cover, or you know, it's just, is it just eye candy, or is it, you know, kind of integral to the game mechanics?
Yeah, exactly. Just thinking like the battles, the Savo Island, you know, or Long Iron Sound or Bottom Sound in the Pacific, off Guadalcanal, you maybe have one edge of the board might be land. That's it. But everything else is going to be all water.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you're coming to playing other games, like if you're going to play American Civil War, you're going to be having maybe a barn out there or some hills. You're going to fight over stuff like that. There's going to be some type of terrain on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And it just depends on the system you're playing, I guess. But
yeah.
If you're playing a typical land battle, you're going to have terrain out there of some type.
Yeah. I would say sometimes too, like if you're doing a mass army game, you know, large battle game, terrain can almost be sometimes too much terrain's a hindrance.
Yes.
You know, to try to move the models, and, you know, as opposed to like say bolt action or a skirmish type game where you're hiding behind the corner of that building or that wrecked wagon, or because I know even like Rusty and I, when we played, I think almost every AWI game we played, in hindsight, for the amount of miniatures we had too much terrain on the table.
Yeah, your typical battle would probably be fought in a field.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And even if it wasn't, just when you're trying to move 24-man regiments, and I don't know, maybe Tim, you find that too, that like, you know, sometimes the terrain is like a pain in the ass, you know, like trying to make it work in the game.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, that's where you have to be judicious in your application of terrain. So it doesn't if you're playing a scenario in which the terrain is an actual feature of the fight,
right?
Okay, then yes, then it needs to be a pain in the ass. It needs to be what it was. If we're placing things on the table for decoration and eye candy, and
then
maybe
ignore it.
Well, then the occasional sort of like, okay, reduce
fudged him over a couple inches so he's not swinging through the corner of the building.
Yeah,
and
I think that when we were playing the old world here last fall, it limits you how much terrain you're going to have.
Yeah. But I felt like that worked well. The amount that we had and the effect that it had, I thought was appropriate.
Yeah. There was a few hindrance on the table, but it wasn't necessarily a hindrance that, slow a unit down or it's going to be a line of sight blockage. But overall, most of the games, it was fairly open and you could do stuff.
Yeah, it had an effect without making the game just like where it was annoying to try to, you know, you couldn't maneuver anybody because that, you know, well, he's in.
That was a problem in 6th edition, in that there was a way, you know, where you could terrain could just hinder the whole game, and like it would tell you to put like a homestead with a farm like in the middle of the board.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times when with the mass armies, like by the time my opponent put other terrain in and we had this like homestead, I think I've talked about it on the show, but like for me to cross one set of walls with a unit that's 5 or 6 deep, let alone 2, when you're actually reduced to 25% of your movement, I got to the point where I just said to him, like, he had said, well, are you coming? Because like he's like, I can wait here all day too. Like because I didn't move with my beastmen when I had like all this in front of me, and I'm like, well, I can move, but like it'll take me the entire game, and I won't even get through that. And so, what's the sense? Like, you know what I mean? Like what? So you could just shoot me while I'm moving through that whole thing and just never get out? Like 6 turns of moving through one piece of scenery, you know, like that just doesn't make sense.
It makes a good example is like in modern warfare is that, you throw obstacles out to slow down your enemy enough that you can mow them down while they're trying to get through it. And that's
Yeah.
the whole thing. It's like you're trying to cross a fence line, like it may be like a split rail fence. As you're trying to cross that obstacle, it's slowing your units down and gives you an extra turn or two to blast them with whatever.
But then
range
you could say, well, on the other side would say, well, I'm not feeding my guys into that. I'm going to come at it from a different way. Well, that's not how the game's set up. So then you're kind of at an impasse.
So, and
Somebody's
in this
gotta
case, there was
just take it
nowhere
in
I
short.
could go to go around.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Right. That's what I mean.
There was nowhere. So,
Yeah.
so it's a mass battle game
And no one's
where you're
moving.
playing skirmish.
Yes.
Like you're trying to like run your guys around all this terrain to the point where like it just doesn't make sense. Like no general with a mass army would ever send
Right,
their
okay.
guys through this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they just never would do that. They would
Any
send
good,
in.
Any good
Some
commander would look at the
skirmishers.
field and go, I'm not going there.
That's what
Well,
I'm
they
saying.
would send if they had to go in there. They'd either go all the way around this board, or
Right.
they would actually send in some skirmishers to to check it out, some light infantry to just check something out. But they would never bring all their troops into
Just plow in there.
Yeah. Like you're not gonna have like let's say 300 men like climbing.
Tim
over
says
all these
sometimes they
fences.
did.
Well, I guess but it's just
But in a game sense, you wouldn't do it though.
like this. It wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Not when you have an enemy
if
right on the
you're-
other side.
We have to make sure that that's what we're saying. If we're saying in game terms,
Yeah.
that will. I've played games where guys have set up fields of fire and stuff, and they literally thought that I was just going to go ahead and just run through there, and it was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
I don't think
And
so.
Hey, look who popped
but
in.
yeah, there we go.
Oh, there he is.
If
Hey,
you like,
Hey, Josh. Well, but then
if
there's
you're
also
trying
like,
to
oh, sorry.
recreate some sort of semblance of historical. Matter of fact, I've been reading some AWI the battles and stuff,
Yeah.
and Osprey's got some good books on that, and they did exactly that. They walked through the woods like the British Army had to go through the woods, and it disrupted their formations, and they were shot up, and it actually happened. I mean, they had to do this. Now, in game terms, when we look at it from our godly
From above,
perspective,
God eye.
from
Like
above,
people might make mistakes in real life, but I guess the point is if a general, like you'd like to think that Napoleon would not, like somebody that is like known as being above, like one of those tops in history generals, like you would like to think they wouldn't just send all their men, like I guess regular troops in formation, like into something where they knew they were just going to be shot at, like, and they were going to be at a disadvantage. Like you'd like to think they wouldn't, but like they've made mistakes and they've done things for sure, like is what you're saying, right?
Send out the skirmishers, the light picket, light infantry out front, and their job is to clear the path. Oh, we got a bunch of fences out there. They'll run out front and knock them down so that the main force can go through.
There's always pickets charged too, right? That was
and then there's
wise.
and sometimes you just don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice. You don't have the luxury. Perhaps you just don't have enough of those sorts of troops.
Yeah.
That happened to Burgoyne.
Yeah.
In the American War of Independence.
So in
it
a
actually
simulation,
they just
in a simulation where you only
it's
have
how
6
much
turns.
of a simulation are we doing?
Yeah, and if you only have 6 turns, and you know that the moment you touch that piece, you're not going to even be able to move across it because it reduces your movement and the length of your unit can't even get across it. Then you kind of realize, well, this just doesn't make sense. I mean, somebody might have done something stupid, I guess, but like there's nothing to be achieved here because based on the structure of the game, I can't even get my guys across this fence.
Yeah, victory conditions doesn't.
And that's the difference between when you're trying to mimic to have some semblance of reality, or are you playing a tabletop by the rules of the game. We all know that humans, we adapt and we overcome these things all the time. But if we're playing a tabletop game where the rules and the structure says you only can do this,
Yeah.
well, of course, that's going to create a tremendous roadblock in even the playing of the game. And that's where when you go to create the game, you have to have some leeway in saying, we're not going to do this. This is ridiculous. This is counterproductive to the game that we're trying to play.
Yeah.
And just say, if we're going to put this on the table, I'm not going to waste my time.
Well, right, and if
So-
there was the ability to put a powder keg of explosives and like blow up the wall, and lose a turn and do something that they would have done to try to, just kind of
Overcome
make it
that,
over something, do something, then that would make sense.
Do you really believe that your beast? Do you really believe your beastmen would have maintained that formation, or would they just went howling over the wall? They would have went howling over the wall.
If they're bestigors,
The food's on the other side. Let's go get
if
it.
they're bestigors, they're the best of the gores. No, I don't know. But it's just
not even like the British would have done that, and they were very good at staying.
And the reality
They would have opened up and went over that wall like it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And
So
and
bestigors fight in formation, and they can't. But yeah, you're right. Like there should be something, where you can do it.
Yeah, there has to be, because if you're going to play a game that's restrictive, then other things have to be able to be applied to counter.
that.
If not, the game doesn't make any sense.
Well,
it doesn't make any sense to play a game in which it's set up so drastically against one side or the other.
Right.
I mean,
To keep it simple.
Why waste your time?
Right. To keep it simple,
Yeah,
stupid thing is that with a mass battle game that's rank and flank, you should never have your terrain like the way it was with this particular scenario. And that's why you can't do that in later editions. Or at least you can in Old World. They don't have anything like that in Old World.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what it comes down to.
Do you remember in 8th edition? I never played, but when I would watch video, gameplays on YouTube, it's like terrain wasn't a thing other than the dangerous wood test you'd roll for. They always had these tables with all this stuff on it, but you kind of ignored the terrain. Did you ever?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you guys played it that way or if you played much of that 7th, 8th, but the terrain was like not a factor like it is in the Old World.
I think the only time it mattered
Other
was
than the
if
woods, you'd roll in the woods.
War Machines, that was when it mattered.
Well, and then when you moved into woods the first time, wouldn't you roll to see what kind of woods it was, and it might kill a couple of your guys or something?
Not in Old World. In Old World.
In 8th edition.
Yeah.
I didn't play 8th, but
It depended on the scenario. If it was a wild wood, there might be critters
something
in there.
like that.
Yeah.
Old
But
World's
just
pretty
like-
lenient.
Terrain
terrain.
that just kind of went through fences, and there was in Old World. There's a little bit more to terrain. I do like that.
Yeah.
But you don't really lose that much though. Like you just lose a little bit of movement to move through it, and then
Right.
not even a lot. It's like an inch or something, and
Yeah.
then you only lose. And then you might actually, if you're charging or you become disordered, right? So
Yeah,
there are
so-
things where that, but it's
Like
not
that.
it's not that you can't get through it.
No,
That's the thing.
right.
With 6th edition, there were certain things with walls and just different. There were just certain things.
Yes,
that-
but by 8th, you just almost ignored that. It was
Oh, is that right? Because I didn't play that one.
it just, I mean, or maybe people just got to where that's how they played it. I don't know if that's how
Yeah.
the rules were written,
You're
but
probably right.
I mean, I'd watch the big channels that did, playthroughs every week, and they would just they had these beautiful resin, they were doing it before Old World came out, the 5 years before, and it was beautiful tables, but it didn't have any effect really.
Yeah.
Except for a hill did.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, Mel made a comment here. He said, look at Chamberlain's defense of Little Round Top. He charged downhill in a forest.
Yeah.
It's like
Fact.
an ordered, it pretty much became a disordered charge that broke the enemy. But
course, they were
No,
about.
that was after they got the shit shot out of
Yeah,
them
they're
trying to go up a
about
hill.
whipped.
Yeah.
I mean, they were more than willing to run away by that time.
Yeah, they were broken. They were broken by the time they reached the top. It's like, oh, we're broken. We're exhausted.
Yeah.
And like, okay, let's just do a charge downhill.
And with all of the brave events that people may have done in history that seem counterintuitive, there were also probably many, many times that generals said, that would be the stupid thing to do, and I'm not going to kill all my guys just to try it. You know what I mean? Like,
and then
there's
always,
just as many of those situations too. You know,
there's always
so
the
it's like,
incompetent general says, "I want you to take that hill, sir. That's a bad idea. Take it."
yeah,
Okay. And then we'll give it up.
Fredericksburg comes to mind.
Yeah.
How many waves of the blue charged that hill and died?
yeah.
The stone wall.
Yep. Stood there like a stone wall.
Well, we got through our terrain thing. It is we are past our typical time, but it's kind of good that we got our topics done.
Way past our normal time. So
yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that we got both of our discussions in.
Yeah, it's good.
It's been a while since we got two in, and we had to do 2.5 hours to do it.
Yeah, it wasn't due to good discipline. It was just we went longer.
That means we're going to have to come up with a topic for the next time.
Yes.
Yep, that's good though.
It's always good.
Well, thanks everybody for
having a
joining
good
in the
show.
comments.
Joining along.
We have 8 people in the watching.
In the chat.
Nice.
Good. Nice to see everybody.
So there's people that are coming in here. I don't know who they are, but they're here.
I got lots done, so that was a productive evening for me.
All I got done was I said in my video I was going to put green on his shoulder pads. I did that.
Okay. Well, you did a lot of the heavy lifting.
And Mel should be happy. I got blue power, and my power weapon, the energy weapon, has blue on it, so he'll be happy to know that.
I did my first dry brush on this thing, and actually, it's kind of hard to see in the dark here, but it's just meant to be. It was just black before, but it's nice to get that first coat on there because I'm going to go for some lighter colors on this than this, but like more in the orangey, earthy kind of colors. And then I assembled these 5 ships. Actually, I thought I was just going to do one, and actually to Dan's point earlier, like 2 of these ships that I ended up doing, they were supposed to be on the front cover. They're 2 different ones, but they gave you the pieces to be able to do the same ones. And because I actually have the 5 of the others, I just thought I'd make 2 of these exactly the same. So that was kind of cool too. So yeah, just assembled those and then did the dry brushing. So pretty light work, but it was kind of good. And I'm kind of happy with the way the dry brush is coming along. So
cool.
Well, that's the thing is that a lot of times those kits, it's like, 2 different types of destroyers, 2 different weapon loadouts. It could be big guns or little guns, or missiles, or
yeah. Cool.
And Mel says, "Great show. I'm off to 40K World."
30K. Yeah.
The horse heresy has begun.
It's happening.
I'm gonna go back in time.
Yeah.
Was that one from the 80s? Huey Lewis, right? Back in time.
Oh gosh.
I've seen Huey Lewis in the news and
in the news. I never.
I actually like Huey Lewis. He's great.
He did a baseball game. We had tickets to go to iCups game, and we already had the tickets. And then it was announced that he's going to be at the show, and then it immediately sold out. And we already had front row box
free. Set. Yeah, cheap tickets or
we bought box set seats right on the field practically. And then they announced they're doing a concert, and we were like,
nice.
Too bad. We already got our tickets.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so there we go. That's the end of the show, everybody. So we'll be back in 2 weeks, and it'll be March.
Oh, yes. Wow.
Time marches on.
Yeah.
Hopefully with the same weather.
or
better.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, it'll be warmer, hopefully.
Yeah.
So more of these 50s and 60s, it would be nice. None of
that
sub-zero temperatures.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll see you in a couple weeks over in Palmer's
Yes.
channel, and I hope you guys will be around. All right. Good night, everyone.
All right,
See
Take
everybody.
care, everybody. See ya.
gotta roll.